If I try to log out and let's try to log in again with Google, let's press continue. Let's select the account of whatever we have. And here, after a while, you can see we have got all the details, the picture, the name, and the email address. And similarly, on tapping on logout, the credentials will be removed. In this video, I'll show you how you can use Firebase Google Login, that is Google SignIn authentication with Flutter. Now, this video will be meant for iOS version because I have already covered the Android version. Now, iOS version is usually somewhat harder than Android because there are a couple of more steps that most of the developers get confused with. So in this video, let me show you step by step or how you can use Google authentication with Flutter. So the first thing to do is create a new Firebase account and create a new project. So I got a new project of YT tutorial. You can name anything you want. So first thing we have to do is create an application here, that is add an application to our existing project. So here the bundle ID is important. So make sure you add an organization name here. So I'll simply say my name and I can add a name of YT tutorial as the application name for now. I can simply say YT tutorial for the name of the application. This thing will be optional, so we don't need it. Let's leave it and register the application. Now, once the application is registered, you will get to see this file of Google Service Info.plist. This file will be containing our client ID, merchant ID, etc. and etc. So you just have to download the following file. And once it is downloaded, I'll show you where you should be saving this file instead of your VS Code. So now let's press next. Here we have to add the Firebase X SDK in our Xcode. Now here, what we have to do, go into the file structure, tap on iOS and open the following iOS folder in Xcode. With the help of Xcode, we'll be managing the iOS side of the application with the help of Swift Package Manager. Alright, so now once we have our Xcode up and running, the first thing we have to do is go in the runner folder, go in the following subrunner folder. This is the old file, I'll remove it, but tap on runner, press on file section and tap on add files to runner. So here what we can do, we just have to save the file that we have just downloaded here. So I can paste it here. We have to remove the following things, that is the file number and add an hyphen. Now the file should be looking like this, that is Google service info.plist. Now once this thing is done, if you go back, you can see the same file here, that is Google service info.plist. In this file you can see bunch of values, that is API key, sender ID, etc. and etc. Right, so once this thing is done, let's go back and here we have to add a Firebase SDK. So the easiest way to add a Firebase SDK is go to the Xcode file and press on add package dependencies. On tapping here, you can see all the recently used packages. I've got this. If you don't find this, you can simply paste the URL here and you will be finding the iOS SDK. So you can simply say add package. Now this will load. This might take a couple of minutes if you are adding it for first time. Let's wait for it. So here you can see we can add a bunch of products. I simply place on add package and that package will be added back here. We also have to add one more package of Google SignIn later, but let's add it now only because we are into this. So you just have to search for Google SignIn iOS package and simply press on add package. This will also take a couple of minutes for the first time. Let's wait for it. Awesome. So now you can see we are adding a bunch of packages and that package is saved. So we have done all the following prerequisites. Let's press on next. This thing is not important for now, but the only thing that is important is this Firebase core, that is adding a Firebase core. So simply press, you can go here also, you can simply copy the following file of Firebase core, just go back and you can search for the file of Swift, that is app delegate Swift, and press this thing here. Now I'll show you a way where you don't have to configure the Firebase thing. So, but for now, let's copy that. I'll show you a different way as well. But for now, let's press Firebase app configure. Now all the prerequisites are done. Let's tap on next and continue to the console. Here you can see we have our entire application, that is YT tutorial. The first thing we have to do in Firebase is go to authentication and we have to enable the sign in functions, that is sign in methods. So to do that, press on authentication, get started, and here you can add the authentication thing. I'll go with Google sign in, so simply enable it. You can see we have to add a support email, so add it, and that's it. Simply save it. Now once we are doing the following upgrade, that is changes, we have to also download the new updated file of Google service info. So once this thing is done, we can save that. Here you can see the pop-up is there. Copy, that is download the new file, and we have to save that in Xcode. So to do that, remove the following existing file. Yes, move to trash and press on runner back, add file to runner and paste the new file. So here you can rename it back the way I told you. Remove everything and simply press it. That is paste it as Google Service hyphen info. Right. So this thing is done. We have enabled authentications. Once we start authentication, we can see everything here. Right, so now the first thing we have to do is add multiple packages. What will happen on tapping Google Login? A sheet will be shown to us. On tapping that sheet, we should be able to go next and select the account with whom we want to authenticate our application. The first thing we have to do here is go to pubspec.yaml file, and while this thing here, we have to add a bunch of packages. Right, so there will be bunch of packages with Firebase. So let's get started with them. So the first package we should be adding is Firebase Core. The easiest way to add package is with terminal. So here I can simply say, that is I can simply write here Flutter pub, add the package name. The first package name is Firebase Core. Press enter. Let's add the package of Firebase Core. Another file that is another package we should be adding is Google SignIn. So we just have to add here Google SignIn package, add it, easy thing. And the last package that will be requiring is Firebase Auth. So this thing is done. So I can clear everything out. And here I can simply say Firebase Auth package, press enter. All of the packages should be added up in our pubspec.yaml file. We will be only requiring these three packages for Google Sign-in. Now, the first thing we have to do in order to configure entire thing is configure our info list file. So there will be a predefined value that we have to add in our list dot file. So if I go here info dot list, there's everything that we require. The first thing we have to do is add a new array. So I'll simply copy paste the array that I have saved. You'll be finding this array, that is this piece of code in description box. You can copy it from there. So now you can see we have to change some values here. That is, we have to remove these values. So in order to do that, what we can do, we can tap on reverse client ID, double tap here, and I have to copy the following value and paste it here. So this is my existing application, so I have to paste it everywhere by removing that one. Cool. So now you can see new IDs are added here, and these IDs are already saved in our Google service.info file. That is this reverse ID. Right. So this thing is done. What we can do now is we can go to terminal. First, let's clear the entire thing. Let's clean the application. So until this thing is loading up, let me show you a platform where you can excel your existing programming skills. And the platform, as you know, is Gigs for Gigs. So recently for the month of April, Gigs for Gigs is running a new challenge, which is called 390 challenge. Now let's consider you want to enroll for the following course of DSA to development, and due to the following program of 90 refund, that is 90% refund in 90 days, what will happen if you enroll in the particular course, and if you complete the course 90% within 90 days, you get 90% refund. Now this is one of the great resources for you to learn anything you want related to data science, Python, machine learning, JavaScript, Django, etc. and etc. Right, so there's a link in the description. Just go there, tap on that link, visit the following Gigs for Gigs website, enroll in the course and complete the course. Now till then we can go back to our application. I can simply say flutter pub get in order to get all the packages back, and here I can cd into iOS. If I clear iOS, I have to write the following command of pod install, that is pod install. This will be adding bunch of new packages, and also I have to add a command of pod update, that is update the added packages if they are older ones or stable ones. This might take couple of minutes. Let's wait for it. So now once everything is done, what we can do, we can close our existing Xcode for now, and we have to restart the entire Xcode again. But before that, there are a bunch of prerequisites that we have to also follow. So the first thing that you should be doing in order to load your Firebase is simply initialize the Firebase. Right. So let me show you how you can initialize the Firebase. So in the main function, you just have to write here await Firebase dot initialize app. This will start initializing the application into your entire project folder. Once this thing is done, what we have to do is we also have to make sure that we request the permissions. But for now, it's not required. If it's required, let's debug that. For now, you can open your Xcode again, and we have to load the application from the Xcode. So let's try to do that. Here you can select the application, which is I guess 15 Pro Max. Yes, the simulator is 15 Pro Max, and you just have to press on play, that is start, so I can replace the current build. Awesome. So now you can see our application is back and running. Entire Firebase is set up in our application. We got zero issues, zero bugs, nothing. All right. So first thing that you have to do in order to initiate the Google authentication is create a new class. So here I'll be creating a new class. Let's say we can call it authentication service, anything like this. Now here I'll be creating a new feature. I'll be calling it, let's say, auth with Google. Easy, let's make it async, and this will be a boilerplate code for creating, that is initiating authentication with Google. Right, so now we have got bunch of packages. If you have seen the previous part, we got Firebase Core, Firebase Site, like Google SignIn and Firebase Auth. Right, the first thing that I'll do here is initiate the Google SignIn account. So I'll be creating a final variable, let's say Google SignIn account, and this will be, let's say, a Google Sign account or account. We should be awaiting for Google, or awaiting for Google Sign In dot, that is let's get the version class, and here I can say sign in. Right, so now this can be nullable, so I can make it null, that is a nullable variable. Now here I'll be saying a new user, that is a new instance of authentication, and here I'll be saying Google sign in authentication of Google sign in authentication should be equal to awaiting for the following account. Let's await for the account, and here I'll say simply proceed with the authentication. Easy. Now this account can be nullable, so here I'll be adding a if else block. I'll say if account is not equal to null, only at that time do this activity. Right, so now let's say we have got a null, like non-nullable account, and once we have done this, the next step that I'll do is get some credentials. So I'll simply create a new variable of credentials, and this thing will be is equal to Google auth provider. I can get the credentials from this. I have to provide a credential, and for credential I have to provide some access token, and after that also I have to provide an ID token, and we'll be using the following Google Sign-in authentication to get the tokens. So I got the access token, and also I got the ID token. Easy. Now let's say we got the credentials. If I tap over it, it will be OAuth credentials. So I got the credentials, and after this I can retrieve data from the credential. Right. So what I can do, I can say, let's say user credential of user credential should be equal to Firebase auth dot instance dot sign in with credential. Easy. Now the credential will be these credentials. That's it. And here I should be awaiting for it. So let's await for it. Awesome. So now you can see we have got our credential. Now this is some of the now these steps might look complex, but I'll explain it step by step or what's happening here. Before that, let's get some data. For now, I'll be getting email address, and this thing should be not awaiting, but I can simply say user credential dot user. I should be having the class of user, and here I can say email address. Alright, so this can be nullable, so I'll make it entire string null, that is nullable, and I'll say if email address is not equal to null, only at that time do something. For now I'll just print it out. So let's say debug print, and here I can say email address. Okay, I can copy that and paste it here. Easy. So entire functionality is done for now. This is the entire thing we require. So I'll tell you step by step what's happening. First of all, I am trying to initiate a new account. Once I got the account, I am checking if it is null. If it's not null, what I'm saying, I'm initiating the Google Sign-in authentication with the help of this account. After that, I'm getting some OAuth credentials, which will be providing me access token and ID token. Now we are using Firebase Auth to insert the following access token and ID token with the help of instance, that is Firebase Auth instance, and here I am using sign in with credential functions that Firebase Auth provides, and here I am providing the OAuth credentials, that are the credentials we received with access token and ID token. And finally, I will be able to retrieve bunch of data from the following user credential, which has an object of user and which will be having bunch of fields. For example, username, phone number, photo URL, etc. and etc. For now, email address works, so let's check how it works. Now here, in order for the following functionality to work, I'll be getting a new instance of authentication class service. So let's say auth service is equal to new instance of authentication service. Easy. And here I can simply say, on tapping the button, just say Google with sign in, that is auth with Google. Let's see how it works. So if I tap it here, you can see we are getting the following pop-up that YT tutorial wants to sign in, wants to use Google sign in. So let's tap on continue. And on tapping this, you can see all the available accounts will be shown here. For now, there are 0 accounts on this device, so I will have to enter an account. So let me enter account and let's get back to it. So now the next thing we can do is go further and transfer this data in some other screen. So for now, I'll be creating a new screen, let's say home view. And this home view will be getting a property for now, for a parameter, and this parameter will be nothing but the entire user. So I'll say final user of user value, and here I'll simply add it to a required format in order to pass it. So I'll simply say this dot user. So now what I'll do, I'll transfer the entire user object to the next screen. So how I'll do that, I'll simply add a navigator or the context, and here I'll be simply pushing it to a new screen. And yeah, the basic one, let's say add a material page root of home view. Easy. So now I'll be passing the user and this will be the user. Cool. So I'll remove this. I'll say if this thing is not null, that is user credential dot, yeah, user credential is not null dot user not null only at that time. So here what I'll do, I'll put here a context. So let's say a build context for a context, and I'll pass on the context here. Easy. So now this thing is done, what we can do, we can provide a context here. And yeah, that should be the context of Flutter sign in view. And here I'll simply show the entire view. For now, let's return a scaffold having a body of a column. And yeah, before that, let's have alignments. And here I'll be adding a circle avatar. Let's add a background image for network image. And I'll simply say the image to be user dot, let's say the profile picture. So there it should be photo URL. Yeah. And also I'll say if the photo URL not null only at the time, because most of the times people don't put the URL in the picture. So I'll do it that way. And after this, I'll putting some spacing and I'll simply say text for user dot, let's say name, display name. It should not be equal to null because display name is always there. So I can put it out and some more data. And at the end, let's add the email in a lighter shade. Easy. So now let's try to process it out. So I'll simply say login with Google. Let's open the accounts. I got my account. Let's try to push it. And yeah, so now you can see we are on the next screen. So let's do one thing. Let's change the background color of this scaffold. Easy. So now you can see we have our entire data here. That is Abhishek, the name and the email address. Now you can modify it in any way you want. That is the data. For now, what I'll do, I'll simply put everything in a center. So let's play with the widgets. I'll put it in center. Cool. So now also let's try to increase the radius. So let's say radius of 100. Okay, it's too big. Let's say 60. Yeah, and 60, and that should be it. So I'll increase the font size here. Easy. So now you can see we can see data here, and at the end I'll simply put a new button for logging out. So I got a custom button here, so I can use that. So I'll simply say button of logout. Say its loading is false for now. Easy. So now you can see we have got a button of logout. Now what I'll do, I'll go here. I'll simply use the function of logging out. Now there are two things you have to do in order to log out. So first of all, you can directly use the Firebase auth instance, and I'll say Firebase auth dot instance dot sign out, not log out, sign out. And similarly, I can use one more instance of Google sign-in. So let's say Google sign-in dot sign out. Easy. So I can await for both of them. Let's make it a sync. And at the end, I can simply go back. So I can simply say navigator dot pop. Let's try it out how it works. So if I tap it here, You can see we go back. If I try to log in, I can go here. It will take some time. You can add a loader for now, but that's how it works. So let's try to see what we have done exactly. If I try to log out and let's try to log in again with Google, let's press continue. Let's select the account of whatever we have. And here, after a while, you can see we have got all the details, the picture, the name and the email address. And similarly, on tapping on logout, the credentials will be removed. And similarly, if we go back in the users, if I refresh it, or if I just do this, you can see we'll be seeing our email address here, that is abhishek@gmail.com, the creation date, the sign-in date, the provider, and the user ID. Right. For further, you can use the user ID for your further purpose, for example, a unique user ID and all. But for now, this tutorial was meant to show you how to use Google Login, that is Google Authentication in iOS with Firebase and Flutter. I hope you have loved this tutorial, and if you do, please hit the like button. I also post regular tutorials on my Instagram where I post reels, posts, etc. and everything. And also on LinkedIn, I keep posting new content every single day. So you can visit both of the following links, which is in my description box. You can visit them, you can check out my new content. Till then, have a great day. Bye bye.